Scribblenauts is a very unusual series where you type words to spawn objects and complete missions. Cat stuck in a tree, light it on fire. Town needs a fountain, use a dolphin. Normally, Scribblenauts speedrunners want to type as few words as they can, but in Scribblenauts Unmasked, they do the opposite. Scribblenauts Unmasked is split into 12 stages, but for 8 of these stages, speedrunners aim to type as many words as they can, while 4 of these stages are done with as few words as they can, resulting in over 1,400 words typed throughout the game. That's almost as many words as there are in this video. But why do speedrunners type so many words? And why are there these 4 exceptions? Let's start by taking a look at how Scribblenauts Unmasked works. In order to beat Scribblenauts Unmasked, you need to earn points to unlock more areas, and the end goal is to unlock and beat the 12 main missions tied to these areas. Each area is part of one of 3 factions, Gotham, Metropolis, or OA, and you need to earn points with each faction individually. To unlock everything, you need 7,500 points for Gotham, 3,500 points for Metropolis, and 7,500 points for OA for a grand total of 18,500 points. Don't ask me why Metropolis needs so few points. The developers just gave it one less zone for some reason. The main method to earn points is to go around town completing a bunch of random missions sprinkled in the area until you've gotten enough points to unlock the next area. While completing quests is the best way to get points casually, it's slow, it has a lot of randomness to it, plus you only gain 100 points per mission. There's 2 much better ways to earn points, but first we need to talk about how the main story is structured. Every area in the game has a main story mission you have to complete in order to beat the game. When you beat this mission, you will gain 500 points before factoring in any penalty. These penalties come from using the same word twice, which gives a 50% point penalty at the end, or using one of a few forbidden words, which gives a 75% point penalty. These forbidden words are simply words that are deemed too overpowered, which is why such a hefty penalty is given. But on the bright side, they don't stack together, so the lowest you can get is 125 points. Thankfully, stages are pretty quick to beat even without these forbidden words, but there is an issue. These stages are not replayable. At the end of the stage, you get something called a starlight. Think of a starlight as a power star in Mario 64. Just like in Mario, collecting the starlight ejects you out of the stage, but unlike in Mario, you can't replay the story missions. Among the 12 stages of the game, only 8 of them matter for points. These 4 stages are special, so we'll come back to those later. With just 8 stages, you get 4,000 points, plus another 100 points for the tutorial. This fulfills a measly 22% of our goal. We still have another 14,400 points left to earn. So how do we earn all these points? Well, I sorta lied earlier. I said these main story missions aren't replayable. These stages aren't supposed to be replayable. After a second or 2 after the starlight appears, the game will set a flag saying you've completed the stage. But before that flag is set, you will get your 500 points for completing the stage. There's a few levels that are very quick to complete, such as Wonder Woman stage and General Zod stage, taking around 45 seconds a pop. So you can simply rinse and repeat to get 500 points over and over again to avoid all the randomness of town missions. Getting points this way takes around 22 minutes. That's great and all, but it's not quite as fast as the third and final method. Well, kinda. In order to encourage players to use a wider vocabulary instead of simply sticking with the same 10 or so words, the game rewards you with 10 points every time you use a new word. I think you can see where I'm going with this. Instead of being a good Samaritan by helping out all these poor defenseless citizens, or being an asshole and messing with the heroes by constantly making them relive the same battles over and over again like you're stuck in a time loop, it's much faster for speedrunners to pretend like they procrastinated on an essay for too long and clack away at their keyboards to hit the word count before class starts. This is the quickest way to earn points. But unfortunately, there are a few limitations that get in the way for speedrunners. Scribblenauts has 2 types of words you can use, nouns and adjectives. Each noun can have up to 10 adjectives each, and in order for you to get your 10 points, the words need to get used. If you try to make something like a red blue lobster, The color blue will override the color red, so you only gain 20 points, 10 for blue and 10 for lobster. Also, there are only so many words that are 1 to 4 characters long, so runners will slow down once they've hit the 5-letter words and beyond. So what does all this mean for speedrunners? At the first stage of each faction, there's a long typing session where runners create a bunch of objects with 10 adjectives each for 110 points per object. I type at a speed of around 90 words per minute, which isn't that fast compared to those speed demons on Type Racer. Seriously, those people terrify me. I don't get how some people just casually pump out 140 words per minute. Once enough objects have been created, runners can then go into the story stages and complete all of the required objectives. But instead of using the bare minimum words to complete the stages, each stage is routed to shove in as many adjectives as possible to make up for some additional points missing from the typing session. This is just a tiny optimization to cut down on the number of times the notebook is open and closed. By the time the second to last stages of each section are done, runners should have all the points needed to unlock the final area. Because of the nature of this speedrun, typing speeds will have a big impact on what strategies are faster. For someone with a slower typing speed, completing these stages as fast as possible would be the best way to go about it. For someone with a faster typing speed, there's no reason to ever consider doing any of these backup strategies, so it's all out on the typing sessions. I'm actually in this awkward middle ground where it might be worth it to combine the two together and type as many words as I can while redoing stages, just so I have less chances to make typos. As for the 4 special stages, these are irrelevant in terms of points because all of the stages have already been unlocked by this point. It doesn't matter if the game throws 500 or 1000 or 50,000 points for completing these stages. It's no longer relevant, it's time to move on. As a result, these stages have much different strategies than the rest, and because we can unlock stages in any order, the order of stages makes a difference. I mentioned the penalties from reusing words and using the overpowered forbidden words earlier, and now this is where they come into play. Most of the stages are more gimmicky in nature, since this is ultimately a puzzle game instead of an RPG. Those don't benefit much from reusing words or using forbidden words, but when it comes to combat, these words become much more useful. Wayne Manor, for example, is in the second stage you can unlock, but this one has many large groups of enemies. Instead of trying to spawn in guns and RPGs to slowly whittle down their numbers, it's much faster to simply spawn in a whole lot of nothing. No, seriously, that's one of the words. Nothing is a synonym for black hole in Scribblenauts. So this can easily be used to decimate all the enemies popping in left and right. This gets runners through the stage lightning quick. For Oa, Wonder Woman stage is chosen as the last one because this stage involves fighting a Minotaur and a Kraken. And simply making them disappear by adding the adjective gone is the quickest way to win. Finally, there's the Watchtower in Metropolis' branch, which is full of deadly traps and hazards that can kill Max. So the best way is to simply add the invincible keyword on him. The final stage of the game is pretty much the same as these, making Max invincible and spamming nothings everywhere. All other stages are done as the developers intended, just with a lot more typing than they'd expect. I don't think they ever considered anyone would actually be crazy enough to beat this game by ignoring missions and just typing words. But that's because they haven't met me. If you're interested in more speedrunning content, be sure to click on the video on the screen.